I have such pleasure introducing our teacher of the year for the state of Connecticut. On a side note, I actually went to high school with Kim King, so I in some ways wasn't actually that surprised that she had received this award, but I was very happy to learn that she is an educator. And to getting on with it, Kim is an elementary art teacher in Mansfield, and as I mentioned, the 2022 Connecticut State Teacher of the Year. Throughout her 12-year teaching career, she has taught students in grades pre-K to 12. Regardless of grade level, she carries with her themes of equity, empowerment, and creativity. As a transracial inter-country adoptee and a parent to an adopted child and a biracial transgender son, Kim has had a profound understanding of intersectionality. She believes that our students see us. She believes what our students see and what they're exposed to matters profoundly. Students need to see accurate representations of themselves so that they can imagine a future where they are active contributors. Kim is working with the Make Us Visible Connecticut to contribute to her expertise of Asian American Pacific Islander curriculum. She received her Master's of Art Education from New York University and a Bachelor's of Fine Art from Syracuse University. Recently, Kim was a presenter at the Waterbury Equity is Elementary Conference, where she led sessions to our teachers on intersectionality. She did an amazing job creating a space for teachers to build a better understanding of the relationships between students' identities and the prejudices they face and how teachers can meet those needs. Kim is passionate, she's authentic, she's caring, she's kind, and she is a social justice warrior. So please welcome Kim King.
Thank you, Laura. It warms my heart to have you introduce me today. The work you're doing in Waterbury is an inspiration, and I'm so happy to have reconnected after all these years. And thank you to the Connecticut Association of Schools for prioritizing this work and for inviting me to provide a teacher's perspective on the importance of equity in our schools. I'd like to begin with sharing a part of my story. Aside from being an art educator and the 2022 Connecticut State Teacher of the Year, I'm also a parent, a wife, an ally, an artist, an activist, a Korean adoptee, and an Asian American. I share those identities with you because who we are, our histories, our experiences, all inform who we are as educators. I went through elementary, middle, high school, college, and graduate school without ever seeing a teacher that looked like me. This lack of representation was especially damaging because as an intercountry transnational adoptee, meaning I grew up outside of my race and culture, I didn't see myself reflected in my family, my classmates, my teachers, or even the subjects being taught in school. I was left to try to fill in the pages that were missing from my story and my education on my own. I shaped my idea of what it meant to be Asian in America based on inaccurate depictions in the media and commonly held stereotypes from the adults around me. Some of those adults were my teachers. The first time I saw another Asian person was on the cardboard UNICEF collection box. My teacher told us we had to collect our coins for the poor, unfortunate children starving in China. I immediately felt 30 sets of eyeballs, including my teachers, looking at me with pity. This was one of the first times I experienced that sickening feeling of shame in my identity. But unfortunately, it wasn't the last. That sense of shame stayed with me for the first part of my life. It silently metastasized with every, "Where are you really from?" Or, "Why aren't you good at math? I thought all Asians were good at math." Or, "It's only a joke. Don't take it so seriously." The worst was when my good friends would refer to me as their Asian friend. I wasn't just their friend, I needed a qualifier. But I remained silent, and as we know, silence sometimes can be the most dangerous sound. I began to believe this false narrative of what it meant to be Asian in America. I was guilty of this, so how could I reconcile the people around me doing the same thing? I wasn't able to. I became resigned to being a perpetual foreigner and numb to all the assumptions that followed. I was called Chinese so much that I assumed that I was Chinese and that China and Korea were one and the same. I wasn't alone, though. Everyone, including my family and my teachers, were equally as misinformed. It wasn't until I won an art award in 8th grade that my art teacher, Mrs. Helander, gave me a small porcelain bowl. In the note card, she wrote that Korea was famous for its Celadon pottery, and you could recognize it by its distinct greenish color. It was like I received the first piece of a puzzle, one that I am still, to this day, working on completing. Receiving that bit of information was the first time I felt an ember of pride in being Korean. I can't tell you how many times I would look at the simple bowl, running my finger along the rim, wondering about who I was and where I came from. Mrs. Helander wasn't the only teacher who impacted me on my journey of piecing together my identity. I became a US citizen in 2nd grade. To my parents' chagrin, I don't remember going to the courthouse. I don't remember sitting on the judge's lap, and I don't remember the sheet cake that I was told said All-American Girl. What I do remember is my 2nd grade teacher, Sister Eileen. She took a small American flag, the kind you get at a 4th of July parade, and she stuck it in an old beat-up coffee can filled with pebbles and placed it on my desk. That gesture, that small, seemingly insignificant gesture, that act of kindness, I remember that. I remember the feeling of being seen. Teaching is about connections and seeing the humanity of someone else. Our students are the priority. We must center our students, their families, and their communities. I did not see myself reflected in the American experience, our country's history, or even in my school. But hopefully, the next generation of students will. They'll see themselves reflected in their teachers and in the content being taught in their classrooms. Representation matters. It's a crucial time where there are cultural and political shifts that are not based on equity and do not center all of our students. Every child deserves an education which treats them with dignity, and for far too long, Black, Brown, Indigenous, LGBTQIA, and immigrants have been invisible in public education. When BIPOC and other marginalized communities are left out of the curriculum, everyone is impacted. All of our children need to see accurate representations of themselves so they can imagine a future where they are contributors. Equity in education means our students can write themselves into the future. We can build the creative capacity of each generation of students to express themselves and speak their truth. Kintsugi is the Japanese art of repairing broken pieces of pottery with gold. There's strength in recognizing our flaws, acknowledging where the cracks are. Repairing by highlighting and not erasing is what will make us stronger. In preparation for this address, I informally reached out to as many colleagues as I could, including other state teachers. When I asked my colleagues about their successes, challenges, and hopes in regards to equity and inclusion, they overwhelmingly said that they hoped that this work remained a priority. They emphasized their commitment to equity and inclusion. They understand the weight and importance of this work and know that creating more equitable education systems and improving equity for all children cannot be solved with a few professional developments a year. There needs to be continued effort to deliberately develop cultural competencies so teachers can meet the needs of each student. Transformation cannot take place without funding, work, collaboration, and time. Everyone agreed. Grounding equity and inclusion in why change was needed was an important first step. The conversations, reflections, learning, and even getting comfortable with the uncomfortable felt productive. Although the conversations were for the most part seen as a success, many teachers remarked there was a lot of talking and not a lot of doing. Some felt it was hard to speak up when confronted with a colleague's blind spots, while another said hard conversations are not comfortable for everyone, so sometimes they only scratch the surface. So the biggest challenge for many is how do we span the distance between those who are at the beginning of this work and those who are ready to engage more deeply. There is a significant community of educators who are ready to take action and want to know what's next. They want to know how will the work get done? Does the absence of BIPOC educators' voices and experiences impact their school's equity work? How does it look like when teaching their specific subject area? How do we accurately measure growth? They want to be sure they're teaching what is important. They want tangible, high-quality instructional material and training. We cannot lead with equity without focusing on and investing on our teachers. Supporting teacher transformation requires giving teachers space to meet the needs of their students. It means designing for systems that are more just and giving teachers space in those conversations. Equity is an approach that asks what students need and puts those needs at the center of educational practice. It requires bravery to act continually on those conversations for our current and future students. Teaching is a radical practice. Teachers want and need clear, regular commitment from administrators that they will be supported in their advocacy. Teachers want to go further. They want to engage students in meaningful conversations, but they are concerned about their support from their administration. Teachers have the power to build creative confidence from within and reflect their students' potential. As an elementary educator, I believe investing our youngest learners is crucial to this work. If we start early and prioritize professional development for elementary educators, it will have a far-reaching impact. I can't leave you today without talking about the importance of creativity as an art educator. There is transformative power in creativity. We have the power to increase engagement, access, and agency for all our students, inclusive of ability, experience, or identity. Creativity validates other ways of thinking. It makes space for students' voice. It embraces multiple points of views. It allows students to learn in ways that support their unique learning styles. It creates opportunities for teachers to connect with students in meaningful and powerful ways. Teaching students to trust and stretch their creative ideas by providing rigorous yet relevant learning opportunities will only help to inspire joy in learning. Creative expression allows students to begin to make sense of the world around them. It helps them to see the value in their own voices and histories. Students can take pride in their own cultural identities and experiences while gaining respect for the people and cultures of others. Creativity can help us work towards creating safe and culturally responsive spaces of learning for all our students. Let's have Connecticut be an example to the nation for what is possible when we recognize the value of differences and the beauty of multitudes. Thank you for this opportunity to share one teacher's perspective on the importance of equity in education. It's an honor to be included in today's summit. Thank you.